Hi folks, it's Nathan here from AniMac. In today's video I'm going to go over the difference between waterproof and showerproof and what that means for you guys when buying a coat for your animal. The first question I get asked, what is the difference between waterproof and water resistant? Just for the sake of this, water resistant, water repellent, showerproof are all exactly the same thing. The main difference is waterproof, if it's a waterproof product, there is some science behind it. There's a technical feature to the material which actually is measurable to how much water it's going to stop coming in one way while how much air it's going to come out the other. And that looks like. So this is this sort of rubber membrane on the underside. So this is what waterproof means, is that we have specified that there's this many dots on here, there's little holes in here which stops rain coming through this way, air out that way. And we've specified what that is based on where we think these products are going to be used. Also, for it to technically be waterproof, the seams need to be taped like this, because it's no use having a waterproof material here when water is just going to work its way in through here. So that's what a waterproof product is. It has this on the underside and it has this. If something is water resistant, water repellent, showerproof, I'm just going to do it on this. This one is actually waterproof as well, but just pretend that it wasn't. This is what the other means. So it means it's been sprayed. It's been sprayed with a treatment which makes it do that. And it's not just on synthetics. I could do exactly the same thing here with this canvas. And so the problem is that there's no way of knowing exactly how much water it's going to allow before it starts leaking. Generally, you can be comfortable knowing that anything that's water repellent or water resistant will be breathable. But you don't know how much water it's going to stop. So where you plan on the animal being most of the time is a pretty important factor to whether or not you go for waterproof or water resistant. Because if they're outside during winter for any extended amount of time, then waterproof would absolutely be the way to go. How long does it last? How long does it stay waterproof or water repellent is a good one. So if it's a spray-on treatment, then that is a temporary solution. You can get very good quality sprays to very cheap sprays, and the better quality ones should last at least a year. You'd say at least a year of it being used, and also it needs to be able to be washed and stay on there. So when it comes to care instructions, some people say you can wash it at 60, you can wash it at 30. If they're on that side of saying that they're washing it at 30 or 40, that's because they want the treatment to last for longer. So, you should be able to get 5-10 washes out of a good quality one. However, a cheap one will possibly come off after one wash. The waterproof one, with this lining on the underside, that generally is waterproof for the life of the product. What can break this one down is two things from my experience. The most common is UV light. So in New Zealand we have very harsh UV conditions, and I know that if it was just UV, probably you're going to get between 5 and 10 years out of the product, and it'll stay. And this is without reproofing it, because you don't need to reproof this. This is waterproof. So it's going to be UV, that's going to break it down, and that's going to make this break down, and then water will start coming in. But the other part is the wearing from the other side. It's taken away that rubber lining, and then water's just going to leak in that area, or it's just going to leak in that area. When it gets to that point where a proper waterproof rug leaks here or there, the waterproofing is gone. All you can do to maintain the life of that is you go to the DWR spraying and prolong its life. But once that happens, it's not really waterproof anymore. Breathability and why it's important. All animals, including us, we have vapor coming off us all the time. And if this outer material isn't breathable enough, then that starts building up and heating up and making the animal uncomfortable, and then you start to sweat. So something with horse rugs, for sure I know is an issue, and this is mainly in the summer months or autumn and spring, where you still have got some kind of nice days, but in the morning it might be a bit cool. A lot of horsey folks think that their rug isn't waterproof anymore. They think, oh, the horse is wet underneath, the rug is leaking. But actually what that'll be is it'll be a buildup of sweat on the underside of the rug, and then that starting to come back down on top of the horse. In the middle of winter, this is not really an issue. It's just for those changeable seasons where you can have warm weather in the afternoon but cold in the night. You know, just spring, autumn, typical spring, autumn weather, whether you're in England or New Zealand, it's basically the same. So that's why breathability is important. Just for an example, this is a properly breathable rug. It doesn't mean it's ideal when the weather is warm. So that's where things like your fill and all that come into it, your 200 and your 100 and things like that. So that definitely does play a part in it. This is waterproof and breathable, but because it's waterproof, it's not going to be as breathable as something like, just one of these regular water resistant types of rugs. It's one of those payoffs, everything's a balance when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's going to be really good at one thing, not so good at the other. But when it gets to this kind of in-between season, when it can be warm and it can be cool, it can rain, but it can also have sun showers, that's kind of where canvas comes into it. I don't really want to confuse this video, because it is just about waterproofing and showerproofing, but that's where canvas is quite good, is it's just this really good middle ground. It's absolutely not the best when it's really, really wet, and it's also not the best when it's really, really cold. But in changeable weather, when you're going to have the odd shower and you're going to have some sun and then it's going to be cool, that's why canvas works quite well. The downside is it's not as waterproof. So if you have a real heavy rain in this autumn, spring, then that's going to get wet and it's going to drench, and then you have to dry it out. Where the synthetics will absolutely hold off the rain, that's no problem, especially the properly waterproof ones. But then when it gets warm, it's going to sweat up. So it is a little bit of a juggling act. And horsey folks, the average horsey person's got at least 5 rugs, so they've probably got the rugs they need to manage it anyway. But for the other animals where they just want one product and they just want it to do it well, that's one of the factors there, is that the proofing does have a little bit of an impact on the breathability of it. But if it's more important to be dry and warm in the winter months, then the waterproof is the way to go. Where the DWR coating on it, it's more like the canvas. It's more flexible for in between seasons, but it's not really good when it's really wet, and it's also not super breathable when it's warm. It's just in between. I hope I've been able to clarify some of the points of difference there between waterproof and showerproof and give you some examples. So just to sign off with and finish up with, I'll just tell you this is a little way that we use to test if something is waterproof. I know many of you will already have horse rugs, calf jackets, dog coats that you use, and you think that they might not be waterproof or breathable. So just a quick way of testing. It's a cone test. Get a bucket, get your coat, and just put a bit of water in there. Now, you actually don't need to put too much in there, because it's very unlikely that there's going to be that much rain hitting that product for that long before it starts leaking. But you really just want to test the area you don't really trust. Pour a little bit of water in, and that there will either stay there like that, which means it's waterproof, or it's going to soak right through, which means it isn't. And you can also just do that on any rug that has been water repellent, and see whether or not it's still got the DWR coating working on it or not. And if not, it needs to be resprayed. Any questions? Send us an email, get us on social media. We'll talk to you later.